Hey, it's me. Who you telling me? The guys with the five eyes that you see. Welcome, guys. Welcome, guys. Just wanted to make sure you guys are doing okay. We have another video that we're going to do. Hopefully, my AC isn't too loud in the background, but that shouldn't be a problem. So, depending on when I put this video out, either the album would have already released or the album is going to be releasing. But Drake is currently going to release his, I don't know what number studio album this is, but the album's called For the Dogs. And he's releasing on October 6th at 6 a.m. because he's the sixth guy. And see, a lot of people are going to overlook that very easily noticeable symbology, numeral symbology, right? Because this is my thing, and this is my grievances. And this video is pretty much going to be me giving my grievances about Drake and hip-hop and rap as a whole. A lot of people out there are willfully blind to the fact that the industry not really just promotes Satanism and Luciferianism, but they also promote the idea of becoming your own god and the idea of money as the end-all be-all to everything, and also the idea of the Peter Pan, the Pied Piper syndrome of just never growing up.
Grow your old ass up, nigga!
See, for me, because I had the discernment given to me by Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah Bahasham, I can see through what Drake is doing very easily. And it's kind of funny because people really don't get it. It's like someone on this website I frequent asked, why is he releasing this at 6 a.m.? And I said it pretty quickly, October 6th, 6 a.m., 6 guy, 666. And it's so obvious, and I'm pretty sure people are going to catch on later. But see, the thing is that we're so spiritually corrupt in this country.
I did battle with ignorance today, and ignorance won. I admit that I'm often vexed at the behavior of my own people. Yeah, vexed is a good word.
That part of the plan of the global elite in order to bring out the New World Order, or the NWO, probably should have said that, and demonetizing YouTube, whatever. But part of that is making religion Catholic. Because remember, Catholic, means universal. So that's why the Catholic Church, the Vatican, is the most powerful institution on the planet.
You make the Pope look like a fool. God will make you pay. Smite them! He's cooking something up.
They've gotten people to the point where they accept Satanism. And why would I say accept Satanism? Because all of the things that we stereotypically associate with Satan, like the devil horns and devil, pitchfork, red, fire, 666, go Baphomet, upside down pentagrams, all that stuff. People just kind of think that's just everyday occurrences and that ain't nothing. So when celebrities like Drake are out here presenting themselves with this symbology and these numerologies and everything, people don't think twice about it. But we're going to get into it in this video by discussing his album a little bit, and then again getting my grievances. So first thing I wanted to point out to you guys is the album track listing. So I find it also very funny that the album has 23, 6, 2 times 3, 6. Okay, because at this point we might as well just point everything out that we see. Tracks on the album, and one that kind of really sticks out to me, so far there isn't a lyric for it yet. I guess when the album comes out we can try to do some analysis on this, but it's called Amen, and it comes right after Virginia Beach, and the third track, pay attention to numbers, is Calling for You. Now a lot of people don't understand that around the nation's capital, it is a Jesuit Catholic stronghold. There's a reason why the DMV, right? That's an area. The DMV essentially compromises its own state, country in itself. But it's Maryland, District of Columbia, and then Virginia. Virgin Mary, who is Columbia. You gotta put it all together. This is esotericism at its finest. A lot of people point out how in the District of Columbia, well, for one, the District of Columbia is a diamond-shaped cube. That's basically the shape of the outline of the city. So if you cut that in half, you get two opposing pyramids, as above, so below, because it's diamond like north-south, right? And then people again talk about the pentagrams that they have there. But another important thing is we have basically an Egyptian obelisk there. So the presidents are Freemasons, people in the Congress and everything. There's a lot of esoteric things that go on out in the DMV. So for the first song to be called Virginia Beach, I can already tell that Drake is, he's really, at this point in the game, he's drawing as much more energy as he possibly can, because I think he's gonna fall soon. And then the second track being Amen, and then Calling for You, I do think that is a bit of a signifier of how he's praying to Lucifer, who he thinks is Lucifer. He's calling for Lucifer. And I can't do too much of an analysis on the song yet, because the lyrics haven't come out yet as of the time of this recording. But it's just a couple things that I wanted to point out about the album. Another thing I wanted to point out, and this is the most damning part. So the thing is, the album is called For the Dogs. So people have been assuming that his son, who drew the album cover, what he drew was a dog. And to me, I knew from the jump that what he has isn't really a dog, because of the horns and everything. I guess he may have tried to be drawing a dog, but I think it was a goat all along. And what proves it is the skit intro, whatever it is, to this song here, which is 8 a.m. in Charlotte. So he goes, "All right, Adonis, tell me about your beautiful piece of artwork that you sold." And he says, so it's the same story. The goat was running away from the other monsters and the other animals. The flower blocking the way. And he's like, so the flower's on fire. And yada, yada, yada. There's some stales there. And this is really strange. There was one person who was on top and he got killed by the trap. And I'm wondering, where did that come from? Because you see here, he talks about that. Then they kind of just stop talking about that. So who's getting killed? To me, I feel like this might be a signifier of sacrifice for Drake. But who is it? We never really know. And then he says, and what? And daddy's name is next to goat. Does that mean he's the goat? Yes. So it's daddy's goat. Daddy goat, yeah. So he drew a goat for this cover. Now, again, for me, that's a Baphomet signifier. So again, it really, if you really pay attention to how this is, it comes together very easily. And it's crazy to me because this album is his most flagrant yet. All of the esoteric occult signifiers are on display. And the crazy thing is that I thought initially this album was supposed to come out on the 22nd of September. But I guess through industry politics, I think they may have did that. Maybe because I don't know what may go wrong with him and Doja Cat, but Doja Cat ended up getting that spot. And then he moved his. But either way, the fact that he was finna share, I don't know what I brought up here. The fact he was finna share album release time with Doja Cat tells me a lot. Now, another thing I wanted to get to, is that I was reading the lyrics of some of the songs on this album, and one thing I don't like about Drake, and I don't like about hip-hop and rap, hip-hop, I don't know what to call it anymore, but I hate the immaturity of it. I think that's the thing that I truly don't appreciate about rap anymore. And I guess rap was never really supposed to be about that, because a rap is just nigga talk. Check this out here. So he mentions this guy named Arrogant Tay, who is a hairdresser for Nicki Minaj. And I noticed I guess he might be on that weird side for men, but he really, it's he works for Nicki Minaj, but he's making such a big deal off of being mentioned off of the album. But you check here, he has a bunch of goat emojis. And I always find it really funny because it's crazy how goat you can literally call it the greatest of all time. And I feel like that's just one of those distortions in the Matrix that the Anunnaki, these other spirits can just make with us. Because how fitting is it, Baphomet is what they worship, and then when you say goat, it means greatest of all time. So they can basically openly call themselves goats in front of you, and it's not a problem if you call yourself that too. But it's so funny to me how people, at the very mention from a celebrity, they feel like things are doing things for them. But really, when you get mentioned by other celebrities, it just increases your profile within that circle. But at the same time, you have to sacrifice yourself for people to be in those circles. So it's not much of a mention, more so as it is a call to action. But I do hate that aspect of celebrity. I just hate the fact that people really look at celebrities like the majority. The fact, I'm gonna just say it like this: celebrities don't do too much for the world. They just entertain. That's why I was talking about basketball players not actually having real jobs, because, and I didn't address this properly in the last one, but it's because they're a product. See, when you work a job, you trade your labor and services to someone else, which gives them a product. So I go out, and if I'm a cameraman for the NBA, I'm giving the NBA my labor camera, present to them, and they're giving me money, and I give them the product of my cameraman work. The NBA players are the product. That's why I'm recording them and they're playing. It's the same way with entertainers and musicians for the most part. And I do consider being a musician a job, because the product you create is music when you're the one doing it for yourself. When you're a guy like Drake, who doesn't produce, write for the most part, anything about his music, he is the product, like many of the other ones. And so that's why he is always giving off this just incredibly immature vibe to himself when he raps. Like, if you have this one song called Slime You Out with SZA, and he's talking about you bees really getting carried away, making mistakes and begging me to stay, got me waking on you like I'm Eric and Tay, you got my mind in a terrible place, whipped and chained you like American slaves, act like you're not used to Sheraton stays. And it's like, again, this light bright out here whose son looks like he could literally be the Antichrist, really making fun of some of our ancestors. And don't get me started on that, because I know, American Indians, or we're not from Africa. It's complicated, but that's a story for another day. But act like you're not used to Sheraton stays. It's like, bro, you're almost 40, dude. How realistically, how are you still in situations like that with a woman? Where is your wife? You got all this money, you might be a billionaire, and you have an out of wedlock son, and then that's the best you can do. It's pathetic in a certain way, because that's the kind of culture and society that we have. These people we look up to all this regard and everything, and it's like half of these people are baby mamas and daddies. They can't even maintain real relationship structures and family and households, yet they have all this money, all these resources and time. And you know why? Because they're not really supposed to have that. Because like I said, they're the product. And when people buy into their CDs and their albums and everything, they buy into their lifestyle. They take what they're doing, because again, they're product, and that product of which they make content and everything, it ends up not only influencing, but it ends up infecting.
What incarnation is he wearing? I don't know. Do you think he on the train to Phil? Absolutely.
And now that I think about that word, influenza, infection, oh man. I don't know if that's something that's really a thing, but you just put it together, and now an influencer sounds like an infector. And that's why I consider it too. That's why I never want to consider myself an influencer. But again, Drake is still having these lyrics about women and guys with guns and all this kind of crazy stuff. He's almost 40. He's a father right now. That's the kind of stuff that just makes me not want to even listen to a lot of rap and hip hop and stuff, because it's in this state where you don't grow up. You stay where you're always at, and people think he's so cool. It's like, who wants women problems at 40? Your body's going to start slowing down, and your mind is going to force you to contemplate and think better, and have less of if you're a real man, you're going to have less of a twitch in dealing with these kind of people. And another thing I wanted to go over too is the cover for this All the Dogs. So originally, Adonis drew the cover with blue eyes and a black body. And then what Drake proceeded to do was invert the colors for the album. And again, I feel like this is just one of those things where I don't think this was planned. I think this was, again, because Drake is the new Jay-Z. Because Jay calls himself Hova, Drake calls him Sixth God. He desperately wants to be God, Yahweh. He's a Griffith kind of character. He wants all the power in the world at any cost, even though he's just way too soft on the inside and outside to actually be like that. That's why he isn't on Jay's status for real, because Jay is a business monster, and Drake is just a dude who's famous in my opinion. But I'm pretty sure when this happened, an epiphany came to him. And again, what Adonis was talking about, the goat and everything in that sequence, this is a goat. And a lot of goats actually have red eyes. A lot of white animals have red eyes, makes you think. But basically, it's a goat. It's a goat with red eyes, and in a way, Drake essentially demonized what his son drew for him. And it just goes in part in hand with how much of an industry just plant this dude is. And how, again, like I said, the the flagrancy of him with his Luciferian worship, you know. And I feel sorry for his son because whatever happens, I know he's gonna bring his son up in it. You already see it with Beyonce and Blue Ivy. I'm pretty sure Rihanna is gonna have her kids coming up doing the industry thing. If you got the discernment like me, you just know that there's a really big generation coming up of former artists and current artists' kids, and I'm not so sure they're going to be able to carry the torch like their parents have been doing these past couple decades. Because now what we're seeing with music is there's a bit of a trough, you know, and there's a tipping point now where because the industry is not actually innovative, because they just take advantage of artists and their innovations to the point where especially the hip hop, you see it really, really heavily. They've kind of they've rapped all about what they can really rap about, because everything is about trends and what's popular. They can't really move any needles forward until someone brings something not even new, because look at the way they're dressing now. Now they're trying to dress like how dudes dressed like 20 years ago.
We ain't know where a bookstore was, nigga. We right here in front of Barney's and Nobley, nigga. Every day. Came in here and got all your books, nigga. Everything, nigga. You know what I mean? Everything.
And it doesn't look that bad, but again, I don't know. Hip hop is just like the way it's been developed now. It's literally just a genre. I don't know if I said that correctly. That's all about not just about conformity, and that's what it comes to. It's a whole bunch of conformity, and that's what Drake ultimately wants his listeners to do. He wants his listeners to just conform to a lifestyle of pure hedonism, to a lifestyle where it's all about money and sex. You know, realistically, when I listen to Drake, that's all he talks about now. You know, it's like it's just funny because he also wants to present himself as this like nerdy, sweet, nice guy. Not even nerdy anymore, but like a nice guy with an edge and everything like that. And then he talks so tough on these records and stuff, but it's just like, you just fake, bro. Like, all these celebrities are just fake.
Throw your old ass up, nigga!
And sometimes I really understand that, like, the apocalypse, which is a revelation, thus Revelations is the apocalypse. The apocalypse that is going to happen for people is they're going to really see how much time they've wasted giving all this attention to these celebrities. I know I did. You know, all the time we waste buying the CDs, all the time we waste going to the club and getting drunk, listening to the music, all the time we just wasted looking in these people's lives. Like, who cares if Blueface is going to jail when he does the Christian rock? You know, celebrity is in fact paganism, and that's the main point of the video. That Drake is pushing paganism full frontal. Why is celebrity paganism? Because you gotta think about it like this. First of all, celebrity really does not exist. Now, it's one thing to have a name, to have a shim, and it's another thing to be infamous. But to be famous, to be a celebrity, that means people have to know who you are, no matter who they are or what they're doing anyway. And the only time I can think, the only thing I can, in my head, that I can understand that is like similar to that is how people worship gods. I wouldn't even say, because, you know, if someone's like a king here, a queen there, well, at the same time, that actually does have an effect on people where they live. So it's not the same thing, because a king could take over this country, that country moves, you know, refugees from that country go into this place, or, you know, again, he takes over your country directly and you're affected. You know, kings and queens, those kind of people, real people that do real things, you know, if they have a name and they're famous and infamous, that's actually something that has effect in the real world. But the pagan gods and goddesses, since they're not actually real, but they are known far and wide by, and again, we could pick any subsect or sect. We could talk about the Sumerian gods and goddesses, or the Indians and the valid civilizations. It's all the same kind of thing, though. Whether it's Vashti or Enki or Horus, right? These beings who are not real but get drawn and plastered everywhere. Now, earlier in Publix, I saw a thing about Messi, and I was just thinking to myself, all this dude does really is kick a soccer ball very well. It's very entertaining to watch, but it's like, why is it that important that we need to have him full frontal? You know, if you look at all the books, all the magazines, if it isn't a magazine about a specific subject, then you're going to be seeing a magazine with a celebrity or athlete in front of you. Celebrity athlete, same thing. And so pagan worship of pagan gods is the only thing I can think of that is actually remotely similar to what we're doing with these celebrities. And it's the truth, because if you were to go back in time and show people of those ages all the videos and everything we have of these celebrities now, they would be like, oh, so this is your God, this Drake, this is your God. He says he's the sixth God, and wow, look at how he's able to manipulate the air in this video and stuff. This looks impressive. Oh wow, people draw murals of him and everything, and be like, oh no, he's just a rapper. And they'll be like, so wait, you're telling me all this guy does is make music, but you make all these offerings to him, all these drawings, all these, all this content. That's what we call content, right? All this content for this guy, and you don't worship him?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
They'd be so confused. They would look at us and be like, damn, you guys don't really have a life, do you? Like, even if they're worshiping a pagan god, hey, at the very least, it's like, well, it's some kind of structured order. We're out here worshiping these people like gods, but we don't want to believe we do. That's the thing that kills me about the populace these days. So, in ending, I want you to just be aware of Drake. I don't listen to Drake anymore, and I never will. But this only reaffirms my belief not to. Dude is dangerous. Again, let me say it for you. October 6th, 6 a.m., 6 God. 666. Showing you who he is. If he could be, he'd be the Antichrist too. And if he was able to run for like a political office, I actually would consider him. But there's something about the way his son looks that gives me a real Damien vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's like extremely pale, curl fro that falls down, but he's blonde, blue eyes. I don't know, man. Like, he has literally the prototypical look for like a demonic, seemingly angel demon child. Like, his baby literally looks like a Neo Griffith. I'm not even gonna front. But, the kid's still a kid, so I pray for him. But anyways, back to the ending. We know who Drake is. We've been know who Drake is. And it's up to you to decide if you want to keep participating in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can keep listening to Drake. You can keep listening to Pop Smoke and Papoose and all these guys. But just remember, they're just giving you a bunch of stories. They're just repeating the same thing over and over again. And I know to a degree that in music we do say the same thing over and over again, but nothing they're saying over and over again is constructive. They're not telling you, besides just get money, hustle, and have women, they're not really telling you about you.
Look at you.
About humanity, about life, really. They're just talking about vanities and vices. And the economy, all these economies are going down and blowing up. At some point, we gotta ask ourselves, why do we keep listening to these dudes talking about how great their life is or how horrible their side chicks are when the world is on fire? Our currency is devaluing, inflation is going rampant, there's homeless people everywhere. I mean, there's homeless people in my little subdivision where I live, and I don't even know why they're coming here, because it's like they're not about to get no money out of people, and it's not like they couldn't find cover somewhere else. If anything, there's less cover here for them than they can find under a bridge. I don't even know why they're here. The world is just going to crap, and guys like Drake, that's the point of him. It's like I told you, remember, he's a product. But he's a product that you could feel like talks to you. He's a product that moves and speaks on his own. It creates this illusion to you that you're dealing with a real person. But if he's a product, he's no longer a real person. He's a product. And he wants to, and the goal for musical products is to distract you with their music. Because it's like Lil Uzi Vert said, it's hypnosis, gnosis, knowledge. I don't know, again, putting words together, but you guys be safe. Stop listening to Drake. Stop listening to Cheese Fools. Find some good music from some real people. That's what I want to end this off with, man. We need to always be in search of actual music from people who are relatable, from people who actually play their heart into their music. People who it's not about the check. It's about the love of making music. It's about the love of relating to people and connecting with each other through the energy and the electromagnetic waves that we create when we blow our breath, which is our spirit, into the air, because the music travels in airwaves that get to your eardrums. So it really is spirit. When someone says, I pour my heart and soul into the music, it's like, no, when you hear someone play music, you are hearing their soul. So that's what a guy like Drake, when you hear all this negative stuff, you're hearing a rotten soul. So you gotta remember that. He ain't no sixth God, he ain't no nothing. He's just a human. And so are we. And that should be the reason we all come together under, one Elohim who is the most high. Anyways, hope you guys have a safe night, safe day, safe week, safe month, and a safe year. And I'll see you later.